Greetings, traveler. I am Sir Knox, the teller of tales. Would you like to hear one? Before we get started, please consider subscribing to the channel as it helps the growth happen much faster. Thank you so much. This one is called Guy Tries to Steal the DM's Role Twice When His Character's Arc Ends. Let's find out what happened. Hello. This story is over now, and everyone is much happier since it ended, but I have been mulling over it for a while now and felt like I needed to share it, so I came here. Well, this is definitely the place to do so. I have explicit permission from the people affected to post it as well. I'll name the guy Sky. Sky was playing a female bard named Elise, and was the closest thing to a rules lawyer we had. He actually helped a lot with encounters and homebrew for the DM. They're neurodivergent and maths get fuzzy, but he'd also reject most ideas if they weren't rule compliant, or if he didn't like them, and would also straight up just metagame a lot. He had an optimized character, and while I am not saying that is wrong, he did essentially choose what would break every possible encounter, social or battle, or otherwise, to the point where almost no one else could do anything about or during it. There are a lot of problems with Elise as a character and Sky as a person, but believe me that delving into all of them would take forever. All you need to know is that Elise had main character syndrome and was always out of character. We actually thought she'd be a traitor. And Sky had the poor DM in an abusive chokehold as their oldest friend. It took until I arrived to start untangling the mess of abuse, manipulation, and isolation Sky was putting them, and then the rest of us, through. Sky would be passive-aggressive about things he hated the DM was doing. Would try and push everyone into playing how he liked, favored girls, or binary folk he perceived as girls and refused to budge on that one. And everything for a potential girlfriend, and hated not being the center of attention. Just like his PC, he wanted to be the one getting the praise, the lore, the magic items, the everything, and would insert himself into roleplay, lore, and literally anything without consulting neither fellow players nor the DM. That last point, him wanting attention so bad he'd do anything for it, that's what caused this mess. DM is very permissive when it comes to character backstories and lore. Essentially, they just need some information to tie into the plot, some explanations on details, and they will handle most of it. Sometimes asking you for details if you had something specific in mind. However, they give a bit of an opening too by letting you RP a character related to your PC's backstory if you want to do it, or letting you make a fun little bit of inconsequential lore about your character. Whatever. Well, Sky apparently wanted it that way, to the point of making the entire Feywild his own playground. Elise's character arc boiled down to her wanting to find her missing brother. Great, except Sky refused to give DM anything else to work with to tie her to the plot or the party, or anything but her brother, and instead pressured DM to finalize Elise's character arc quickly. And soon enough, once we found her brother, it became clear that Elise had nothing else going for her character, or plot-wise, anymore. So, given that Elise came from the Feywild, he instead decided that pressuring the party to go to the Feywild as often as possible would be the best solution to keep her relevant instead of anything else. Seriously, he said, and I quote, that Elise's new arc was whatever her friends wanted to do. Anyway, because of the aforementioned point of DM letting him RP Elise's family and the Sky not giving the DM anything to work on, then this essentially created a loophole where Sky could technically DM every time we were in the Feywild. Our first arrival to the Feywild is as a celebration for Elise's family being reunited, so it made sense to go at all. But once we get there, Sky then started to describe the flora, the fauna, the architecture, the people, and every tradition and bit of culture. He would also RP with himself by having several of Elise's family members greet us and be with us for the majority of everything, talk amongst themselves, and direct entire scenes on their own. I got to the point where I actually had to message the DM and ask them if they had agreed to this much domineering from Sky, and they effectively told me that no. This had come out of nowhere, and Sky was essentially stealing the DM role from them. I didn't mind being the disruptor, so I messaged Sky and told him to chill out and give DM back the DM role, to which he relented. We then left the Feywild, and I thought this would be over, but oh boy, did it happen again and again. Sky made sure we had to come back a few in-game days later by proclaiming that it was now Elise's mother's birthday, and that she would not accept her daughter missing it for nothing, even though we'd explained it to the woman that we were technically trying to prevent the world from ending and didn't have much time. I have to clarify that Sky is actually manipulating the fact that our characters, being in character, would actually let her have this, but the rest of us out of character were annoyed as hell. Smartly, at least, DM tries to not make it a total waste of time, tying it to the plot by making it so a character we'd been searching for was from the Feywild, so we could ask around if anyone knew him. And yet, once again, once we get there, Sky takes over by having his characters talk the most, stealing the scene, describing how wacky and fun they are, making crap up until we arrive to the people they're having an apparent death penalty for people leaving the Feywild. Literally everyone was in shock because nothing else before had pointed to this being a thing, so I bite the bullet and message the DM and ask if they'd even agreed to this. And lo and behold, this was new to them as it was to us. Everyone kind of tries to play this off in character, but this was such a huge breach of control and trust that it didn't take long before Sky got confronted on his behavior directly. Oh, finally you say something. Sky eventually got kicked from the campaign after the abuse system he had going to keep himself untouchable fell through. And once he slighted both myself and the DM and tried to play us both thinking we wouldn't both be communicating through his rather terrible manipulation, like I said, there's a lot of things that contributed to him being booted, such as him trying to retcon things after he realized his characters made mistakes, him ruining encounters for everyone, or him trying to run his own campaign when he realized everyone loved DMs. But these two were the first two strikes, and what destabilized his reign of terror and allowed us to free ourselves from him. That's pretty much it. Sorry for this being long, there's just a lot that he did in the 2 years I knew him. 2 years?! That it gets kind of hard to differentiate which bad thing is which, so I had to re-edit this several times. I hope I got the main point across, though, and thanks for letting me vent a little. No problem, that's what we're here for, you're here to vent. However, it just seems you went on 2 years like this. You didn't say anything sooner, it's interesting. I guess some people are just very passive and non-confrontational, but just messaging a DM behind the scenes and then being frustrated without expressing any of the frustration I feel like you could have saved yourself a lot of time. You didn't have to wait 2 years. You could have confronted it early on, or just booted the player from the get-go. Not sure why you waited so long before doing anything, but I guess it is what it is. It took you 2 years, and now you're finally, hopefully, at peace. Anyways. This next one is called Scanlan Ripoff argues that grape isn't grape if the victim enjoys it. Oh, well that's not good. This is horrible. This lovely little tale happened over lockdown, online via a D&D Discord server. Trigger warning, heavy discussion of assault. I joined a D&D Discord server, where people just chill, talk about D&D builds, and shoot the crap. Very casual. About 6 of us would regularly pop into voice chat to meme around. We always had funny conversations with each other and got along well. The 6 of us decided to do a D&D campaign together, a casual 5th edition Curse of Strahd. A classic. We agreed collectively that we can meme and go Monty Python in the campaign. Relevant characters include me, playing a Tempest Cleric, Storm Sorcerer. DM, chill dude, first time DMing. Means well and regrets not jumping in earlier. Scamlin, Critical Role ripoff. Player literally describes him as Scanlan Shorthall, but a half-elf and hot. Boasts that he is Scanlan done right. Honestly, kind of a red flag, but since we were doing a Monty Python fun game and our artificer, I hate this word, Artie, was a Tony Stark knockoff, it went under the radar. Paladin, the only female player in the group. Remember this piece of information for later. Unfortunately, it is important. Artie and Fighter. They aren't the stars of the story, but they are here. This whole thing happened over Session 0. We did some ground rules, expectations, explaining homebrews, and all that jazz. Me, Fighter, and Paladin all mutually agree that assault was not something that we were comfortable with, and DM promised not to go into that territory. Remember this piece of information. It is important for later. Near the end of Session 0, we decided to do a little combat and some roleplay. We did an easy save the village from goblins scenario to test out our builds and see if we wanted to change some things before we started the campaign for real. All went well. The goblins got murdered and the villagers got saved. They threw a party for us at the local tavern and we all peed with our characters for a bit. Scamlin did the stereotypical bard thing and seduced a village girl. Nothing wrong yet. Even though it was supposed to fade to black, another thing we all agreed on, Scamlin then asks the DM if he can bang her till she passes out. DM awkwardly laughs and agrees, asks Scamlin to roll a constitution save. He clears and village girl passes out in bliss. A little awkward, but everyone was more or less okay since he didn't give any graphic details. But then Scamlin said this. I bring her downstairs and leave the wench out on the table for others to use her. There's a very uncomfy pause, and Paladin politely tells him that since the village girl is unconscious, it would be sexual assault if anybody uses her. Scamlin argues that it wouldn't be assault because he left her nice and sensitive and she would enjoy it. What? Now we're all feeling crazy uncomfy right now. Obviously, you should. Paladin again reiterates that the village girl is unconscious. It doesn't matter if her body likes it or not. Scamlin fires back that real assault doesn't feel good. Villager is going to feel good, so it's not assault. It's not how that works. The back and forth argument turns ugly when Scamlin starts screaming abuse at Paladin and ends when she audibly lets out a sob. DM finally gets off his butt and kicks Scamlin from the group call. There is a very awkward silence as Paladin is sniffling and trying to get herself composed. I felt super guilty for not saying anything. I am a very awkward person when confrontation happens, and I just tend to shut down. Not to get too personal. DM breaks the silence and apologizes for not stepping in sooner because he was feeling shocked and didn't know how to react. The rest of us guys also apologized for not stepping in, citing that we also felt uncomfortable and awkward as the conversation went on and didn't know how to react as well. She said it was fine and that she wanted to hop off and decompress for a bit. We end the session right there. But don't worry, there is a happy ending. We all got together and each sent a page-long report against Scamlin. He was publicly shamed in the announcements of the Discord group and permabanned for all time. The server owners encouraged everyone in the group to stick him onto their ban list. Paladin stated that she wanted to try again because she still liked everyone and didn't want the game to end before it started just because of one butthole. We added a female warlock to the game and started the campaign. It ended recently and it was a very good 2-year campaign. One of the funniest I've ever played. Good for you for being quick on it. I mean, obviously, it weren't instantly up in arms, but you caught on pretty quickly, or the DM did, and got rid of the scumbag, as you should have been. It's such a ridiculous thing. Unfortunately, I think some people just really believe that. It's even assault. The human body works in a way where there's stimulation that occurs and there could even be a sense of pleasure, but not consent. And just because something might be pleasing, even in a traumatic moment, simply because of how biology works, it doesn't mean that the consent is there, therefore it doesn't invalidate that it's assault. People really need to learn that, especially people like this. Regardless, good for you for getting rid of him, and what a weirdo for having that kind of mindset. Hopefully somebody spoke. I've hoped somebody speaks to them and helps them realize that maybe they just have the wrong, severely warped perspective of what assault is. Maybe they're open to changing their perspective if it's explained to them. I'm not sure, but I feel like an attempt would be worthwhile just to hopefully try and change somebody's mind on that topic, because it's not good to have people out there thinking the way they do. He might not be open to change, but it's worth a shot. Banning, I do think, is justified, though. Anyways, that concludes our tales for today. If you'd like to hear more, come back and I shall tell you some.